Entering the Mayo Experience.
That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by DraftKings 2023 Sony Open Picks Preview Bets. The one and done begins this week, as is our three-man competition. Guy who kept track of it last year, you let me know if you want to keep track of it again this year, because I certainly do not want to keep track of it for any sort of deal at all. We'll recap the ToC, how fun that was. That was fun for everyone, right? And the Listeners League is now open. It was 2,500 spots again. It didn't fill till Thursday morning last week. We need to speed that up a little bit because not all of these tournaments after this week will start midway through the afternoon on Thursday. So if we want to keep it and make it bigger, we need to fill it as quickly as possible. So that link is down in the description. Reminder to smash the like to the episode. Sub to Mayo Media Network. If you haven't left a rating and review on the audio podcast, or even if you haven't subscribed to the audio podcast, please go do that right now. As always, the research show from Sunday already out. You can go back and check that out. Plus, the final Sunday night live NFL show was last night with me, Cust, and Kenny. I had a little mini meltdown as the Morikawa stuff was going on. But, Jeff, I've come to deal with it. I've come to think of it in this sense. And it was good. Sometimes I need to get my frustrations out. Everyone tilts in a very different way when you're watching something go completely against you in real time. But it's almost like the NFL thing, because we went 0-8 on the Best Bet show last week, and this week I think we went 8-1. So it was a great week this week. Stuff can turn around. And someone's like, well, you guys all lost your best bets by like 58 points combined. It's like, well, it's no different than if we lost in 3 combined. Like, we lost. So the way I'm choosing to look at the Morikawa thing is he lost by 2 strokes. I didn't even watch him play 18. I have no idea if he birdied 18 or not. I assume he didn't with the way that he was playing. But whether he loses by 2 or 3, I'm just going to make it seem in my mind like Rahm was winning by 10 the entire time, and Morikawa had a nice charge. He lost. He didn't win. It doesn't matter how he lost. He lost. Sucks.
I mean, good luck to you with that. All in full disclosure, didn't get to watch your show last night because I had to turn off the internet. The internet was just not my friend. The internet was yelling at me. Things were finally nice for once and can never be nice. I had no investment in Morikawa. I was not in that tournament. And I will, in full disclosure, because I don't fake shit, I didn't see a single shot. And that's Staley's fault. Because I can't change the channel. Everyone's out there. Sorry for yelling. Like, I'm not as like triggered as other people, as long as people will be okay. But I was just thought, like, I haven't told my wife, like, yeah, I think I'll be able to have dinner, like, with the kids. Like, it should be a preseason game at 6:00. No, it wasn't. So all I saw was it was down to 3 at 13. And then the next thing I saw, Rahm won. And yeah, so I'm sorry that sucks. That sucks.
It happens.
I felt bad for everybody, but I didn't see a shot. I looked at the scorecards. I saw Morikawa made 3. Rahm shot 10 under. Morikawa made 3 bogeys. It's like, did he choke? The guy shot 10 under.
No, he choked.
He probably choked.
No, he choked.
Yeah, he choked.
He
yeah.
choked.
No, I'm saying to any notion of, yeah, that guy shot 10 under, still a choke. Still a choke. You're mentally stronger than I am. That'd be a real, like, way to start. Like, there's so many weeks of this shit. Sorry. like to start it like that. Oh my God.
It was nice. Like, I didn't want to get too far ahead of myself. And this is going to apply to anyone who tweets at me, sends me an Instagram DM, whatever it may be. I don't want to hear about how fucking good a pick is until the pick is won. I just don't want to hear about it. It stresses me out the entire time because stuff like this happens. I bet on enough golf where stuff like this, I mean, this hasn't happened. He was minus 20,000 at one point with a 9-stroke lead. And even I started feeling pretty good about it, but it's my fault. I told Tim, he asked me what was going on in the golf. I told him that I don't want him even knowing what is happening with the golf. And so we went through it, and then we got to the late side of the football games. It's like, well, we have an extra TV. I was like, Tim, just don't say anything. I'm going to put on the golf, and I just don't want you to comment on it. That's all I need right now. I turned it on. Morikawa was up 7. We're feeling good. And then it's just like, woo. He's flying the green out of the green side bunker and making bogey. He's sculling chips that roll back to his feet. It was a fucking disaster. Like, that's the thing. Like, Rom shot -10. That's fine. Morikawa just needed to play average golf, and he still wins by 3, and he couldn't fucking do that.
See, all the like chips back to your feet again. I'm not gonna phony anything. I will see it when Golf Channel replays it this week, and I'm gonna see it again. I'm sure I'll walk into it. I'm shocked. My buddy who likes to bet hard bet Rom at 50-1. I think he said it was on like the 6th hole. I'm sure there's probably some insane tickets out there based on the what Morikawa's odds were.
I believe that the longest he got was 250-1 at one point. I mean, Morikawa was up by 9 after one hole. And even coming down the stretch when I was looking at it and Rom was making his charge, I was thinking, like, do I hedge here? I was like, I don't really need to hedge. Like, 15 is like the easiest hole of all time. Make a birdie there, make a birdie at 18, and Rom would have to eagle both 15 and 18 and birdie another one in between, or birdie out and like birdie his final 8 holes. And that's the only way he could still beat Morikawa if Morikawa just plays clean. And Morikawa was playing clean enough. He was just doing the classic, hey, I'm just going to hit to the fairway. I'm going to hit it to 40 feet and 2-putt for par. And then he started missing greens when the pressure got ramped up. And then he started fucking around the greens. It was horrible.
People were victory lapping that thing since Thursday.
I know.
I mean, I wasn't on the internet yesterday, but I was on the internet Thursday through Sunday at 5:00. I was on the internet plenty. Yeah, golf is so mean. Golf is so cruel. That sort of shit can only possibly happen in the most jabroni European tour event.
You know what? You're exactly right. The first thing that went through my mind when I looked at the lead and it started going, it's like, well, you can't blow this. This isn't the Euro Tour.
Yeah. It was not. I feel for everybody. I feel for everybody. Hopefully, all the Morikawa bettors, like for me, it's I know cash out or I'm just saying. Hopefully, you could see like today's board clearly, or I don't know. That's an early tilt for a long season.
Hey, it's a good reminder of what golf season is, Jeff.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And you made an analogy to your football picks. And I didn't know you guys went 8-1. I mean, I watched the show. I didn't calculate the picks. I mean, I watched for the entertainment. And the picks. I'm not debating that. I'll have to see who everybody's on. But it's just like NFL in a microcosm. Whoever was horrible last week is going to win the next week and be great.
That is a good reminder for this tournament as well, because I even put it in my article on DK Nation. Like, you look at the year that Hideki won last year. He didn't really have a good TOC whatsoever. Kevin Na was an abject failure at the Tournament of Champions. Then he goes out and wins the Sony as well. So I'm not really sweating what guys did last week. In fact, I'm actually looking at one guy right now on the screen that I wasn't really considering. And like, when you kind of take a look at what he did last week, it's like, all right, that's not so bad. It's a guy I love losing money on anyway. So any other thoughts? Like, did you watch much of it? I know you didn't watch any of it yesterday, but did you catch any of the first 3 rounds throughout the tournament? Like Tom Kim asking the cameraman if he got that one on tape. I like that Tom Kim knows. Like, there's a chance that maybe his golf shot in a field of 38 people may not have got captured on tape.
I loved it. Even as my bets really showed no life from go, it was just I enjoyed every second of watching it. Every part about Tom Kim is, the guy is a goddamn legend. Like, he is a legend. And it's sort of like, he's so young, Pat. It's crazy. Like, when he's 24, it's going to feel like we have known him forever. Forever. And I'm excited to know him forever. Unless South Korean military government has something to say, but we shouldn't worry about that now. The app in action, it was nice. It gets a little trigger sensitive on favorites. Like, I
Yes.
just want to
Yeah.
check a guy out, and it makes him my favorite. Hopefully they can fix that. I don't mean to start a complaint when I really do think it's a nice.
No, we're beta testing here. Like,
Like-
well, what's something that you think you can improve? I had the exact same experience. I'd be scrolling down, and it's like, oh, I need to check in on why JT Poston just made a triple bogey on like a drivable par 4. What happened? Oh, I've unfavorited him, and now I have to favorite him again, and then I have to like click over more to the right. Just make it a little less sensitive. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Usually we want more sensitive, but we have to put like a Durex condom on it. Make it a little less sensitive.
Yeah, and I mean, the event, it's fun. It's fun. It's a great field. It's just an insane driver wedge fest. But I have no complaints watching Hawaii and losing bets. That was my role.
Hey, and even when you go look, just to keep in mind for next year, they finally uploaded, for whatever reason, ShotLink like went down midway through the third round. I was trying to, I went to Fantasy National to check on the live stats. Like, all these live stats aren't updated. Like, what the hell is going on here? So I text Moose. He's like, there's no feed. So I went to the app to go check out the round 4 stats, and like they were non-existent until like 20 minutes ago. Everything's updated now, but it's just strange that feed ended up getting broken from the PGA Tour side. It's all fine now, but I think some stuff that I want to see in real time. I'm trying to figure out when I'm writing my column on Sunday mornings, being like, oh, I need to see some of these Tom Kim stats and try to like make a case against Tom Kim, which seemingly is impossible this week. But to look at it, Rahm and Morikawa were 1-2 in putting. Homa came third. He was 4th in putting. Like, if you're not making your putts here, you're screwed.
100%. And it's no secret to people who've watched us over the last couple years. Like, I can't bet him because the numbers are short. Like, I adore John Rahm. I don't care when he yells at things on the screen. I think he is the best golfer in the world. And a win like makes me think, what sort of year, and hopefully he can break through more in a major sense. But to the Morikawa people, this is like, you cap that shit perfectly. Whether you're a ride or die Morikawa and you bet it like you, Pat, or the people, I felt so stupid watching that, thinking like Morikawa 2022 to 1. It was 39 guys. I'm not a ride or die Morikawa time, but I'm always willing to jump on the on the wheel. Like, was it blinded by Vic and M? I should have seen it. So yeah, I don't know. It was a perfectly capped thing. It's unfortunate that it didn't go your way, and we start a year of nonstop favorites off with a favorite, which I'm sure is people spinning in and of itself of here we go again. But Sony Open, despite last year's heroics, does seem to give us at least fair, like, quality numbers hitting, as memory serves, always.
For the Sony Open, I saw a lot of people being like, it was just one person that I saw on Twitter. I have no idea who it was. It was just like, hot take, Sony Open's better than the ToC. It's like, yeah, no shit. Of course it's better than the ToC. We have a real field of 144 players. Like, there's only so much you can get out of a limited field event. Now we're back to an entire board to choose from, a course which is specifically designed, it would seem, to allow almost anyone to win. It's an irons and putting course. That's all this is when we go through the entire list of names here. But just to give you a brief recap of what this tournament is all about, you can watch the research show as I dig into it a little bit more. But we have, let's see here, 7,044 yards, par 70, Bermuda Grass Waialae Country Club, $8 million in the purse, so not an elevated event. 144 players, top 65 and ties end up making the cut. 8 of the past 9 winners, Jeff, have played the week before at the Tournament of Champions. The lone outlier was Cameron Smith 3 years ago in the weird, I don't know if it was pre-COVID or post-COVID, but it was the year that the President's Cup was in December. And then we saw the first 4 winners of the year all played in that President's Cup. So maybe that was the direct relations. That
it was pre-COVID.
It was it was just pre-COVID.
And the President's Cup was in Australia.
Yeah.
That's sort of why they that's why they picked a different time to do it, I feel.
But I had 2 theories on this. Like, why does this continue to be the case that guys that play the week before end up winning at the Sony Open? I think it boils down to 2 things. One, obviously, you get competitive rounds under your belt. Like, you are warmed up for a real event during the season, where the other guys probably, they've played over the course of the past 2 months, but realistically, competitive-wise, is the PNC shootout really a competition? No, not really. Is the Hero a competition? No, not really. So it's been 5-6 weeks weeks since these guys have actually competed in a tournament, so it takes a bit of time for the rust to get knocked off. Then you have the other factor is that if you played in the Tournament of Champions and you're in the field at the Sony Open, chances are you're probably one of the best players in the field at the Sony Open.
Obviously, that second point, both points stand true, and you hear players say it all the time. You always hear Tiger say it, which maybe he won't say it anymore because he's going to play so little, or it'll be his excuse when he doesn't sort of perform well. But it doesn't matter how you prepare. There's no preparing for competitive rounds. I guess guys try to find ways. You put enough cash on things, it can feel more important than a Friday afternoon beside Alex Smalley, but I don't know. Something is clearly to it that there is an intrinsic value on just having competitive rounds for 4 days already in Hawaii in a PGA Tour setting.
For sure. And I had the list of them in my column. I believe there is 17 guys that played last week. None of the elites are playing outside of Tom Kim and Spieth, Hideki, and Sungjae. Those are the top players in this field, and they're at the top of the betting board as well. So when we get to that, you have Tom Kim, 20-year-old, two-time PGA Tour winner Tom Kim, as the betting favorite at 12-1. Sungjae is 14, Spieth is 16, Hideki is 18-1. Those are your four guys below 20-1. I think it's funny. You can make a pretty compelling case for all of these guys. I would say Hideki is probably the lowest at the totem pole based on the way that he's playing, but he is the defending champion at this course. Everyone's in love with Tom Kim this week. I actually thought Spieth played pretty well at Tournament of Champions, and Sungjae did after round one. So it's kind of a crapshoot at the top. Do you think this is I know a lot of people are already backing up the Brinks truck to bet Tom Kim as the favorite in this field. And I don't really have much of a case against it because, he's 12-1 at DraftKings Sportsbook right now. The best I'm seeing, is 12-1. You might be able to catch a 13 or 14 later in the week, but even that seems doubtful at this point because I think he's going to be a super popular bet. And I couldn't come up with cons to bet against him here except for the fact that he's one of 144 players in this field, and he's Tom Kim. He's 20 years old.
Yeah, I don't have a negative thing to say. Or as people might word, besmirch. Learn that one from Cam. He doesn't throw it around so often anymore. But I there's no way to say a bad word about Tom Kim. You just kind of did it, though. The only thing I could say against the bet, I really don't see myself making unless I just have a complete change of opinion over the next couple of days. There's not a bad word to say. 12-1. I don't want to put those sort of stakes here. I don't feel it like that. If I do go 12-1, it does sort of sometimes bring in the truck back up, and I'm not here for it. Not here for it. People already some heated debate or fun debate on Twitter, Pat. Simply, if you had to take one season long, M versus Kim, who would you take?
Kim.
I think I picked Kim also in a vote, but I kind of just voted because I wanted to see the results and I wasn't really sure. I'm sitting on the fence there, but yeah, I'm here for the wagon, but I'm not betting it at 12-1.
Well, the case for and against Tom Kim is weirdly, statistically, I think the case for and against Morikawa in a weird way. Although Tom Kim much better around the greens, obviously, than Colin Morikawa is, but 2 times in his career, he's gained more than, it's 6 strokes, but only twice in his career has he gained, since he turned, full pro, since, we met him in 2022, his 19 to 28-year-old season. He's gained 6.1 strokes once, 12.5 once. He's won both those events. So every time that he's gained more than 1 stroke putting in a tournament, he's won the event. It's like the Morikawa. This is the, I think, second time in his career that he gained more than 4 strokes putting in a tournament and didn't win. And he's come second in both those events. Every week. Fairways, getting off the tee, irons, lights out, and he can chip. What's not to like?
I'm not, there's so much hyperbole in the Tom Kim discourse, but it's just it's just magic. You can't buy it. And maybe it's just so lucky for the PGA Tour that they can, again, it's probably really unfair, but they can lose a Cam Smith and then just this flower just will spurt. And it's incredible. It's ungodly. It's ungodly what he is up to.
Even to another point.
I don't want to bet against it, but I don't want to bet on it either.
Okay.
Like, I could have another guy, and I don't want to cheer. How do I put this? It would be, even with a bet, it would still be really hard for me to cheer against Tom Kim, unless it's like Sunday, it's a true 1v1 situation. Like, I can't look at him and not smile.
Tom Kim was the only player in the top 10 last week who lost strokes putting. Like, his putting is his weakness, but he's not Luke List at the same time. And when he hits big.
Yeah, I don't even know what the argument is against it. The argument against him is there's 140 guys, so there's those law of averages or probabilities and variables that involve in that. And maybe he'll like strain a quad boogie boarding like on a day off. Like, that's really the only thing. And one of them is completely made up. So I don't know. But all that being said, I'm still not here for 12-1. Funny enough, though, Pat, someone will hit a 12-1, as we always joke. Like, some will hit like their your ROM 7-1s. Yeah, it was a great comeback. It's like 7-1 in golf tournament. Screw that. Some guy hits like Jamal Williams 550 first touchdown. You're the man. Great bet, buddy. Woo!
What's your point?
It's that sometimes just you got to look at it like it's okay. Just go to the favorites. They're going to win. It's a winning bet. It's a great bet. Even at 7-1.
Yeah, but the issue becomes when you're playing like a first touchdown bet and you're betting Jamal Williams at 5-1, you're not also betting 4 other guys to score a first touchdown in that game where you are in golf. Like, I mean, there are people last week who just did a single bullet on Rahm and hit it, and boom, that's fantastic. It was like last year when I bet Rory at the Canadian Open. I bet Rory and like 2 guys that were 200-1 or something like that. Like, I only have enough money to make this worth my while to just bet on Rory, and I think that was 11-1. So
okay, the Jamal Williams thing's a bad point. I just love the dichotomy of, it's like the golf bettors sometimes get really snobby when someone hits the favorite, but at the same time, someone will hit that like 12-1, 16 to like 14-1 first touchdown bet on the weekend. It'll be like, oh, great bet. You're the man. Great call.
No, I understand
They're all
that.
great calls.
Listen,
that's all. Maybe I said too much. I'm an idiot.
No. Anytime that you win a bet, it's great. And yeah, I agree with you that the golf community can be rather snobbish about it. And I was being kind of snobby when I pointed that out. But it is like I see people essentially rake themselves on bets all the time. It's like, well, I bet this guy at 7, these 2 guys at 16 and 22. It's like, even if you win, you're not winning this week. What are we doing here?
You're right. And there's also like a return on investment and, the season long game. Although if the favorites are going to hit, then it's going to be trouble even for us who like to bet in the mid 20s into the 40s. But yeah, it's just hard. It's just hard for my math to work on Tom Kim this week.
Well, the other thing, I mean, I think this is a course that is specifically geared towards him and specifically what he does well, not being a long hitter, being great with his irons and with riding a hot putter. The issue is at a course like this, and we've seen him win at Wyndham, which is another course like this, so obviously it's going to fit him well, is that so much of the field is more live at a course like this versus a Torrey Pines or something.
You want to bet the favorite at a course where Mark Wilson can roach you?
Yeah.
Like, just, and that's an example. I remember when Mark Wilson won, but
2011. I remember.
Yeah, he's just a little guy who can hit it out there and also gets to play with his short irons here. Yeah, it sets up for everybody. It's kind of got that Wyndham type vibe, right? Like in terms of winner circle setup.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I would say that like the new school Mark Wilson is like Brian Stewart. If Brian Stewart won this week, I wouldn't be stunned. I don't think that he's going to win, but he putts really well on Bermuda. He hits every fairway and gets really hot with his wedges. Like, that's his entire game. If he did it for 4 days, you'd be like, oh yeah. It's like when Brian Gay won a few years ago. It's like, Brian Gay. Well, that makes sense. He might gain 15 strokes putting in this event.
See, this goes back to, like, I tell myself, how do I put this? Like, good players win. Good players are winning. Just worry about betting good players. Even if it means you're betting a couple less players, just bet on good players. And now I'm talking myself into betting like 6 Mark Wilsons.
Okay, speaking of Mark Wilson, it's like Mark Wilson on steroids, but I'm seeing a 27 on Brian Harmon right now. We betting Brian Harmon? Because if I don't bet it now, that's 27 is going to be gone. I'm seeing it just dropped to 16 to 1 at DraftKings, and it's 22 everywhere else. There's a 25 that I see. 27 as an enhanced is the best odd. So if I'm going to bet it, I feel like I need to bet it right now before I lose that number. I bet him. Well, I didn't. I bet him to top 5 last week, and I bet him in a head-to-head. He won the head-to-head. That was nice. Not a great week for him, but this is a perfect Brian Harmon course, isn't it?
Yes, even though I think last week I said, no, I'm not going to bet Brian Harmon to win at all this year. You guys, all of them ranked so high in rankings. I know, like, as I even said, like, fantasy rankings, guy can finish 10th place all year, be a great fantasy pick, doesn't need a win. Just kind of taken aback. I'm more on Corey Connors, Pat, at that 25 to 1 at DraftKings as well, which I've seen dropping at other places, still holding at DK. So I might actually need to bet that mid-show, because like your Harmon, I'm worried I'm going to lose that. But 16 to 1 on Harmon, I don't know, that you got to find something a little better, because that kind of feels criminal.
Yeah, I mean, that would lead me to believe there's been a lot of action on Brian Harmon this morning. So to give you everyone else who's kind of in between, beyond the top 4, like right now, live time, and Paul built the graphics for the show about 30 minutes ago, and it was the top 4, Kim, Im, Spieth, and Matsuyama. Harmon has passed Matsuyama in the odds. He's now 16 to 1. After that, it's Henley and Connors, 22 and 25. Hoagie Beach, who may or may not be, well, he is Andrew Curse this week, 28 to 1. Taylor Montgomery, the flea market, is 28 to 1. So those are all your guys 30 to 1 and below. I'm with you. I kind of like Connors here, but I made the case for him in my column. Like, when you go back and look at, listen, we know he's not a good putter. In fact, he is quite an awful putter. He's never lost strokes putting at this course, which is mind-boggling. But can he putt enough to win this tournament? I think those are two different things. Like, 2 of the best 3 putting performances of his career have come at the Sony Open. That's good news. He's an accurate driver, but you don't need accuracy off the tee. You just need to be really lights out with your irons and hit a bunch of greens in regulation, which he does. He even did that last week, despite having a very poor driving week overall in terms of accuracy. He actually gained off the tee at the Century. So I thought all of that was just really confusing. Did someone pull out of it? Did Billy Horschel pull out of this tournament? Oh, he's fucking 35 to 1 at DraftKings. That's a good bet, by the way.
Did he pull out?
No, he didn't. He was just buried on the leader on the odds board here. He's like 22 everywhere else at DraftKings. Oh, no, he's 32 now. He just dropped down the list. I'm probably going to This is why we can't bet Tom Kim, because I'm going to end up betting like Brian Harmon and Corey Connors. And Billy Horschel.
Yeah, so you lost me for...
Sorry. I got thrown off when I didn't see Horschel's name, because he was one that I had written down. For Connors, can he make enough putts to win this tournament? I guess is my question.
I mean, I guess what you're trying to say is this course is his top putting weeks here shouldn't be overrated, because even like the worst putters have their good putting weeks here.
No. My point is, even his great putting weeks here are great for Corey Connors. They're not great enough to win this tournament. Oh. Like okay. When you look at the splits, like, and go back through time, yeah, there are guys that have won gaining 2 strokes putting here or whatever it might be. But generally speaking, your winner is going to gain like 5 to 8 strokes on the green, and Corey Connors has done that exactly. He is, 5.8 at Sony is his best. 5.1 at Sony is his third best. He's gained over 5 strokes putting 3 times in his career.
I can't believe last week I said I'm never going to bet on Brian Harmon to win, and I might 1 week later bet on Brian Harmon to win, Pat. I'm just looking at it on Fantasy National right now. He's going to be very popular.
I mean, I'm just telling you, based on those odds.
Fantasy-wise, like, for sure. Wow.
Okay, how about this? Are you going to bet Sung Jae, yes or no?
No, I think I'm out on all those guys under 20 to 1.
Kind of want to bet Spieth. I mean, Spieth won at Heritage. his putter was actually going pretty well. The short game looked great, although, again, this is one of these tournaments where the higher you go up on the leaderboard, the less and less important around the green gets because everyone hits greens in regulation here. I don't know. This feels like the type of course where Spieth is going to do well throughout the course of the rest of his career. Like, when he was running so pure, he was actually driving the ball really well. He wasn't like John Daly off the tee, but he was above average distance, above average accuracy. Nowadays, he kind of needs to dial it back a little bit here, spray it around a bit, and hopefully his wedges get really hot, which we've seen him be able to do. Like hot wedge, hot putting. I don't know if I can get there at the 16-1, but he might be my lean for like one and done or something like that.
Yeah, I can see that. You're sticking with good players. It all matches up. He played last week. It does line up with the modern Spieth sort of success track. Played well last week as well.
Okay, let me ask you this then.
He'd probably be my favorite player under 20-1.
Okay,
and on DraftKings, I would rather bet him than Harman giving a point or the same number, it seems.
The other question I would have to you is Corey Connors 25-1. You can bet one Corey Connors, or for the same amount of money, you can get Mackenzie Hughes, JT Poston, and who was the other guy down there who played last week? Either Svensson or where the hell are they? Svensson, Mac Hughes. Mac Hughes is 80. Mackenzie Hughes is 80. Poston's 80. And Svensson's 90. So you could have like three of those guys plus money left over for one Corey Connors, knowing that all three of those guys can fill it up in the right week. Like Svensson's a bad putter, but like when he won RSM, he get like 10 strokes on the green.
Okay, you make a good case, but I'm just going to let you know I'm not mentally strong enough to be talked out of it. I'm prepared to lose money on Corey Connors this year. And we can start it at the Sony. I'm going to bet Corey Connors at 25-1.
Okay. Corey Connors.
That trade, it's not like it's a bad trade. But Corey Connors, I think he's going to have a big year. I think he's going to have a big year. I know that's it's even dumber in golf. It's as dumb in golf as it is in baseball. Because I make fun of myself and people who do it all the time. Like, I don't have a future on Corey Connors because what would that future be? I'd rather just get cocky and try to pick his win than, I'm not betting on the anytime Corey Connors major. But I find myself sometimes in other sports, Pat. Like, if I bet a future on a team or I draft a guy in fantasy, I'm going to bet him in week one. Like, I'm going to bet his prop in week one. I'm going to bet that. Like, if I bet that team to win the World Series, like, it's opening day, 162 of these, team's going to win today. I picked them to win the World Series. I remember we joked about it actually one football offseason where Andrew Luck was on that trajectory of like his first year he made the playoffs. Second year he won a playoff game. It was like up and up. Oh, Colts are winning the Super Bowl. They're at Buffalo week one. It was all like everyone had their Colts Super Bowl futures. And we got to bet them week one. They lost in Buffalo. I know it's a long-winded way around to say, like, I am messed up, but I'm betting Corey Connors.
Okay, Corey Connors, 25-1 for you. I'm close to it. He's one of the names that I have written down for me. I guess we should have the Russell Henley conversation, a guy that I think as a community, we all bet last year. That was another fun meltdown on Sunday that didn't win.
Lucky enough to say I lost money on different golfers that week. As Hideki made that charge.
Hideki made that shot.
The Henley revenge game. It feels like a perfect course fit. Pardon my ignorance. What would the Henley number have been a year ago?
I believe it was 45.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm not here for this. If people want to do it, they feel obligated. I just told you my insane reason why I'm obligated to someone else. If you feel you want to recoup that on 22-1, go for it. I'd rather bet Spieth. Rather eat some points.
So Henley did win Mayakoba, which is, I mean, we're not going to get it anymore on the PGA Tour, but that has been a great indicator of who is going to play well at this tournament. Kazire won them both back-to-back. Kuchar won them both back-to-back. Henley, obviously second at the Sony last year, wins Mayakoba. Could he come back and win it again? I just thought that was pretty interesting. I don't think he's going to grab my money that high up on the board, but Lord knows he's probably going to win if I'm not going to bet on him, because I don't think anyone has taken more money out of my pocket in my lifetime than Russell Henley. Like, when I was running through all the quick math in my head, like, I've never picked him to win. I mean, I've picked him to win a whole bunch of times. He's never won when I've bet him to win.
Yeah, that makes sense. And he won the time where you said, this field sucks. I think Russell Henley's going to win, but the number's too short. I don't want to bet it. When he won that Houston, it was a Houston Open.
Yeah, it was like
I believe we all kind of said it. Like, no, I'm not betting Henley at 20-1. I don't care if the field's shit. I don't care. I don't care.
Classic stuff from us, telling you who's going to win and then not playing it and feeling like idiots afterwards. So the only other guy that's down, I mean, Hoagie's down here. As you mentioned, he's going to the national championship game. He's a TCU guy, so he's going to Hawaii to LA, back to Hawaii for this tournament. And you know that it's probably a casino trip in there in between for hot craps or whatever the hell they call them.
Yeah, I thought the game was in Arizona, but that's the other big game. No, you're right. I'm pretty sure it's in LA. You're right. It makes sense. That is such a boss move. Like it is the slob on the couch like me's dream to be good enough to have a PGA Tour card, to be so committed to a team. I just won $900K at the Tournament of Champions yesterday. I'm going to still play in Sony next week, but I'm flying to see my Frogs playing an unbelievable national championship game. Go Frogs from me and LaDainian.
He's also Anderker, so that's why I'm not betting him this week. He did lead all players in strokes gained approach at the Tournament of Champions, though, if people were wondering about that. The only other one here is Taylor Montgomery. I don't think we're going to... I mean, I like Montgomery. It's probably fair that he's 28-1. I think I'm going to give him more of a look at like a Torrey Pines or something like that, where his distance can really make a major impact, where here I think it's mitigated a bit.
It is tempting, though, Pat. I've seen it up to enhanced 33s.
Yeah, but like at this course, I'd rather bet Keegan Bradley. No, weirdly enough.
No, you're right. You're right. You're on a Mark Wilson doppelganger. You don't need Taylor Montgomery.
No, like and I also don't like that he didn't play last week.
Yeah, no, there's, again, as I was going to say, checks a lot of the, like, there's a fever pitch to get on Taylor Montgomery. But I think you're absolutely right. This is just not the layout for it. His strengths feel sort of neutralized. That Brian Harman Hoagie skill set does sort of seem like the one that I would rather be investing in here. I'd almost, let's say it, I don't think it would matter because I think there's enough fever like hype about Montgomery, but I'd almost rather he get off to a real slow start. And then like, I don't know, give us a nice number in Phoenix and San Diego, as you mentioned.
Yeah, I'm completely on board with that. Maybe next week at Career Builder is where he can make it, or American Express, or whatever the hell they call that tournament these days. The Humana. Probably not presented by the Crooked Hillary Foundation anymore, though. It's probably not the case at this point. 30-100 in terms of odds. Just you have like the rest of the guys that played last week and all of like the top end players making their debuts. I'll get to the guy that you've already bet in a second, but you have like Mav, Mitchell, Keegan, KH Lee, Billy Horschel's 35-1 at DraftKings Sportsbook right now. I think it's a really nice number actually for a guy who played a lot better outside. He had a terrible first round at ToC and then was actually pretty good over the course of the weekend. Adam Scott, Kim, JJ Spawn is here. I'm surprised Spawn's only 40-1. I thought he'd be lower than that, honestly, on the board based on the week that he had. Cooch, Creo, Bez, Denny, Putnam, Will Gordon, Webb Simpson's 55-1. Kitayama's up there at 55-1. Poston, Mac Hughes, Gary Woodland, Buck who loves to fuck. He is up there. Svensson, Kirk, all the regulars that we're now used to seeing. You have Robbie Shelton, who I like. He is down at 100-1 on DraftKings. So of this bunch, the name that I didn't mention is the guy that you bet. Why do you like Cam Davis so much?
Aussies in Hawaii. He didn't play last week, and maybe he'll be the only guy I bet that didn't play last week, but I'm a sucker for so many of these guys potentially. I'm about to just worry about the good players, bet good players. You'll be fine. hopefully I don't just kick my strategy to the curb this week. But I consider in this field Cam Davis one of the better players. I got a 45-1 enhanced on Fantasy National. There's pretty much nothing he ranks outside the top like 20 in. It's just you're flying down the road and catching all these bright green lights. When you stat track them, I'm here for it. Number seems more than fair.
Yeah, 2 top 10s at this tournament, or sorry, 1 top 10 at this tournament in his lifetime the last 3 years, made the cut each of the past 3 years. Never really gained on approach all that much outside of the 9th place finish in 2020. And again, that was the Cam Smith year, and that year is a bit of an outlier, because remember, Cam Smith won at -11. There was a lot of wind, it was lift, clean, and replace. Ryan Palmer was trying to hit 3 woods out of the bunker on 18 to no avail. Yes. I had money on him, so that's always one that sticks out in my mind. But it was like, it played super hard. Like, -11 happened in 2020, and it happened in 2005. The usual winning score here is like -24. So yeah. I like it. I'm not going to bet Cam Davis, but he also plays well with these shorter courses, weirdly. Like, top 10 at Colonial, top 10 at the Heritage, courses that I think are very much corollaries for this one. So I think it's a good look here. Like I said, I'm interested in Horschel. Strangely enough, now that he's dipped below 30-1, I think that's a good number for his quality of play in a field like this. Like, it seems pretty good, doesn't it?
I always, how do you put this? Yeah, I always find Billy Horschel, even in weak fields, is disrespected with numbers. I don't run to bet him. Can't remember last time I made an outright bet on Billy Horschel, Pat. But I always have the conversations in these shorter fields based on what he's accomplished, based on what he's won, just name value. To me, his numbers always seem higher than they should be. The only knock I could give is this type of tournament seems way below his trophy case.
It does.
His trophy case would laugh at this Sony Open. He only wins huge tournaments that aren't majors. Like, that's all he's known for.
It's true. Then can I interest you in a Keegan Bradley?
Ooh, a little slim down Keegan.
He looks great.
Yeah, he looks great. Although the broadcast is unrecognizable as he's lining up his putt. I'm like, he could gain 100, lose 100. You'd know it to the day you die who that is. Like, I get, like, to an angle, he could be unrecognizable, but when he's doing his putt routine, you're not allowed to say that guy's unrecognizable. We all know who that is. I'd rather bet Billy. I'm not here for, and doesn't Keegan spike the hardest courses? Like, isn't that where you want to play Keegan? Like, your Honda and like that type of place, like a birdie boat race. I don't know. You throw that sometimes at me when I'm betting guys that don't make a ton of them. I'm not here for it.
You know what?
But when he does get on, he does have Brandon Steele. Like, everything's inside 5 feet for 4 days. Like, he has that sort of wow. And I'll have to watch it and not bet it because I'm not.
I think that's actually a pretty good point. That even when you go look at where he does his best work, it's generally at harder courses with lower winning scores because he rarely makes enough putts in order to do it. He's had spiked putting performance over the course of his career. It's been a long career for him, so he's had ample opportunity to do that. I mean, is Billy Horschel very much the same way? Like, I just went back and looked at Billy's year last year. Like, he won at Memorial. He was second at Bay Hill that played super tough that week. Like, is he just another guy who plays better at tougher courses?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yes, another recent big win is Wentworth in match play. I don't know about tougher courses and more so tougher fields, despite those are some real respectable courses. I'm the nut job, Pat. Or not a nut job. Numbers are the same. I would get caught on Adam Scott before I got caught on Keegan.
Well, if you had the invisible hand of a putting stroke with Adam Smith, I think he'd be looking pretty good. But Adam Scott, I get it. It's a pretty deep number for him here. He's 35 at DraftKings Sportsbook. You can get him enhanced up to 38. I think I saw a 40 floating around as well on another spot. Now, sell me on Adam Scott. Besides, he was really good 10 years ago, and he likes Hawaii because he has a good tan.
Okay, I don't have a ton because it's hard, and the birdie race is always, something that came up last week when we discussed him quickly. But he played last week, and you mentioned it's 17 golfers. who played last week. And if I'm not going to bet under 20-1, which I get are the best golfers, that now what brings us down to 12 golfers. So if that is the strategy, he is a guy to be discussed, to not just write off on your first look through the board.
Let's see. He has 2 top 10s here. I mean, one of them was in 2009, so I don't know how relevant that is. He was 41st when he played in 2021. Did gain off the tee with approach last week against a pretty stacked field. Couldn't make a putt to save his life, but that's par for the course. He has improved on the greens over the course of the past few years. This is where it becomes difficult for me. Like, do I really want to build a card that looks like Harman, Horschel, Connors? Like, yeah. I mean, this is all leading back to, what if you just bet Tom Kim?
Or Jordan Spieth, or Tom Kim and Jordan Spieth.
Yeah, like, here's my 12-1, here's my 16-1. Those are my only 2 bets.
Yeah, and then overbet a little on football, lose those bets, and you won't even remember your lost golf bets on Sunday. Done.
Easy game.
Easy. Yeah, what were we talking about? Adam Scott. Does he not sort of fit that Hideki narrative of played last week, didn't really play great, putted horribly, but the tune-up could be perfect? And you can probably say that about a lot of guys. And maybe now I'm overthinking it, because don't get me wrong, Pat. Like, I would love to build a card of Smalleys and Gordons and Thompsons. Oh my. But this whole, like, they played last year, played the week before. It's in my head a lot. It's in my head, and it seems like it's a real trend.
I mean, don't forget that, Hideki won last year after a poor week in a tune-up. He had previously won the Masters the year before that. It's like, Scott's not at that part of his career anymore.
No, he is not. Maybe that's a bad example, but I'm just saying, like, just having played last week sometimes is good. It's shown that it's just good enough for what could happen this week.
Yeah, I can see that.
40-1. I bet you could maybe even find like over 40 on an enhanced.
No, you can't. It's 38 on the enhanced.
Okay. I don't, as much as I'm a Scott truther, I'm not really here for the like 27 under party on Adam Scott. I just think with all the sort of stuff that he will survive multiple cuts as I try to narrow down a betting card.
Yeah, as we kind of put it down. So the other guys in that range, like, I am interested in Poston and Matt Hughes. I believe they're both 75-1 right now, or maybe they're higher on DK Sportsbook. I'm looking at a 75-1. Matt Hughes 60-1, JT Poston 55-1. I like those less, obviously, than the ones that I'm seeing. I'd rather squeeze 20 more points of value out of them on this. But again, like, I'm not really. They showed flashes of things at ToC. It's good enough for me, and I know that both of those guys can putt enough to win this tournament.
Yeah, they absolutely can. And Mac Hughes, it almost feels like
Did you hear Zinger on the broadcast?
Oh, Zinger's a true art.
Hey, listen,
it's hard to.
He got all that President's Cup experience, and that's why he's playing well, obviously.
Mac Hughes, I would say last year changed tiers for me. Like, he showed to me that he's better than I thought he was.
Why?
For sure. I don't know. The luck happens more consistently, I feel. And at some point, you get like enough, then you're just good. I'm not saying he's great or like at a top status, but he went from a tier that I didn't think much of into a new tier of golfers that I like and I think could win. I think could win this week. That's all. He's better than I thought he was. I thought he was a luck sack.
I mean, he is a luck sack, but these are the types of tournaments that I think that if he won the Sanderson Farms, he's won the RSM. Sony Open kind of fits in the mold with those types of tournaments, I would think. And you're getting pretty deep odds on him in this field. Like, yeah, he's the same odds as like Webb Simpson, who may or may not be dead at this point.
So a little quote from Webb. He's excited about this week. He also realizes these are really the only types of courses he has a chance to, really compete at. Just a question about the top putter strategy on a course where it seems like even bad putters putt well.
Well, I
Does
mean,
your Denny McCarthy, Bezaden Hote, like putting strengths, are they kind of negated here?
I mean,
Would you say?
Bezaden out on paper, I think would actually rate out really well. But when I look back at how he's done at this course, it's been very poor over the years because he can be a really good iron player. Like he's a terrible driver. He can be amazing with his irons, but his putting has been like bad for a while, which is interesting to see. He was 17th at this tournament last year. So yeah, Bez would, I guess, kind of fit that. I mean, I just don't bet Denny McCarthy. The guy doesn't win. The guy has his peak putting week every week and can't win.
I'm not betting Denny McCarthy, but just as he's always seems to be a topic of conversation, and I don't even know if the putting, like we talk about sometimes where guys' strengths are negated or neutralized. I could argue that's the case here.
Well, I don't think that putting is negated here. I mean, I don't know where you got that from. What did I say to you that you thought that that's what I meant? Just because Corey Connors has, I was making the point with Connors that just for whatever reason at this course he's putted well.
No, but it seems like these are very easy greens.
Are they? I mean, there are guys who struggle on the greens here. Like it's going to be a give and take. Like if someone's +9, it's gained on the field. Someone's going to be -9 to even that out. It's going to be 0 as a net by the end of the week.
Okay.
So
I'm wrong. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay,
I obviously
I just didn't want to make that
wrong.
Yeah, I guess I just wanted to dispel what that point was going to be. Is there anyone else from this range that you did want to talk about? Like, do you have interest in Harris English, who has played a little bit? He played a lot better in the swing season. If he's getting himself back, this used to be a tournament where he played great.
I would almost at the same price be more intrigued by Kurt Kitayama, Pat.
Okay.
Strokes gained tee to green seems on point. All the approach is something I would be concerned about, but the guy seems to score and can enter these parties. Seems lower though. I feel like, I guess last year we were getting these probably closer to the 100 to 1. It seems like Kitayama starts the year cut in half.
Well, I think he snuck inside the top 50 in the world, so it made him eligible for the Masters, I believe. He's a good player. We've seen it. And he has the wins on the DP tour, so it's not like he is immune from winning. Like he's never broken through before. A lot of players, or a lot of people who follow the PGA Tour haven't seen it, but a lot of people who bet on golf have seen it. So they're kind of hedging against them in that market. And I think when you run the numbers that he would turn out to be pretty good. I like your call of Cam Davis. I do. I kind of told myself that unless it's an absolute like bomb, that I'm not getting behind anyone who didn't play a week ago. But I think that's where I'm going to end up right now. Like that Hughes Poston will probably end up on the card from deep down. And then when we get into like absolute long shots, I mean, the popular one, like when I did the research show, I've already seen people talking about it on Twitter, is Ben Griffin. Ben Griffin, 125 to 1.
So Ben Griffin, 125 to 1. I was gonna say though, when you say long shots, like does what a long shot mean?
Well, by the way,
has that changed?
By the way that we do it, it's usually 100 to 1 and beyond.
No, okay. Yes, I understand for the purposes of our show. But when quantifying like what's a long shot when betting PGA Tour golf,
like 50.
It almost feels like now it's 50. When before, literally, long shots, 80 to 100. Like those are long shots. Now it feels like that conversation starts at 50. So you said, you didn't say Will Gordon. You said...
I said Ben Griffin, 125 to 1. Will Gordon's like 50 to 1.
Yeah, I don't really understand that.
People like Will Gordon, I guess.
Yeah, that kind of took me off guard. Seeing it as high as, using... I know you're in the odds checker family. There is on that grid somewhere with an 80 on Will Gordon. So maybe that's something people can look into. What do you got for Big Ben?
Just the form during the swing season was really good. He played really well in Bermuda. That's the tournament that he should have won, not Seamus Power. Also, why is Seamus Power not playing this week? This is a tournament he could win.
It's too rich now.
Seamus too rich? He's like cussed?
Yeah.
The Tim Reaper, as people have started to call him?
I don't mind Ben Griffin. What about, oh, geez,
So he-
110 to 1. Sorry.
Oh, no, I was going to say with Ben Griffin just gaining off the tee, gaining on approaches, and when he puts really well. Like he's the ultimate yo-yo putter. It's either a lot gained or a lot lost. There's no real in-between for him. And really, realistically, I don't really give a shit if he loses 4 strokes putting or gains 0.5. That's not doing me any good. I need those +5s, +6s, which he is capable of.
Over 100 to 1, I was staring at Grayson Sig,
Okay.
but the approach numbers do concern me.
Now,
But,
is he like your new? I mean, it worked with Seamus Power. That Seamus Power ended up being really good, despite not being the bomber that maybe you thought that he was because his name was Power. Do you just like the? Are you just drawn to the name Grayson Sig because it's a cool name?
No, the numbers aren't bad at all.
He's Denny McCarthy like when you look at where he does well.
Okay, but it's double the price.
Sure, okay.
And no, I like Grayson Sig because I bet him a lot down the stretch last year, some events, and he impressed me. Other than there's like a quad bogey waiting for me.
Kirk is pretty high up here at 80 to 1. Probably not going to get on my guy Davis Thompson yet.
Oh.
I
You
suppose.
think any of the Georgia boys are gonna sneak on Hoagie's plane?
Oh, maybe that's something they can do. And who was the guy in the Packers game who pushed the trainer? He was a Georgia guy.
What an idiot.
Second time he's been kicked out for pushing a coach this year on Sunday Night Football. Was it Walker?
That's incredible.
Quay Walker?
That's incredible. That's
like-
the one of the dumb. I remember in the Chargers lost a playoff game to the Jets, and Vincent Jackson threw the penalty flag back at the ref. He also got arrested the day before the game. What a fuck. People wonder why. Yeah, never mind. AJ Smith didn't want to keep him around, or lowballed him with contracts.
Should we talk about Semikawa? Because Taiga Semikawa is playing in this tournament. 21-year-old, was the number 1 amateur in the world. He won 2 events as an amateur on the Japanese tour like 3 months ago. Then he won another one. So I don't know. We're going to be seeing a lot of this guy in the near future. He's never played on the PGA Tour before. He's 250 to 1. He's already flashed winning upside. Maybe he's just Tom Kim 2.0.
That would be incredible. Let's make some more magic.
But
Do
you remember when we bet Tom Kim at the Fortnet, I think it was, at like 400 to 1, like a year and a half ago? And now it's all happened?
That is really funny. Thank you, Sky. Sky was on the ball with 17-year-old Tom Kim.
They revoked all of our bets.
Yes. Because they were different names, right?
Well, he was. We knew him as Tom Kim, but he was going by Jun Hyun Kim, or whatever the hell his real name is. Smart marketing move on his part to go by Tom Kim, by the way. Genius.
You're into guys who played last week, right?
I am.
That's the thing?
Shez Reavy?
Oh yeah, how did you know?
Because
He's the only one left.
Well, no, there's three losers who played in the field last week that are playing this week. It's Brem, Ramey, and Reavy. I don't know. What are his odds? I didn't even see what his odds were. Are they beyond? If they're beyond 250 to 1, I will bet on Shez Reavy.
They're 200, but I swear DraftKings might have had a 300 out on the Open this morning that I just kind of giggled at, and I should have bet it, I guess.
Let's see.
Maybe not.
Yeah, I might play him 175 to 1 with the each way. Why the fuck not, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is his type of course. It's just
Yes, right. That goes back to the Mark Wilson case.
You're really hooked on the Mark. Mark Wilson won a PGA National too.
No, I just mean it's a
5
type.
wins.
It's a player type. It's not so much Mark Wilson. It's just this event. Yeah, it opens the door for the Shez Reavies. What as we kind of said it, like what Montgomery doesn't really get him much here.
Unless he does it to the very best of his capabilities, which, that's going to be an outlier either way. He could not play the best off the tee game he's ever played at a place where driving really matters and still just trounce the field. Like if he is not hitting it dead straight in 350 and just like putting from just off the fringe on all these holes, then there's really no difference between him and someone like Chez Reavie, who's going to put it to 110 yards and hit it in 10 feet.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much every single player in the field has the opportunity to play into the greens with short irons and wedges.
And even
like that. And
even the par fives are attackable in 2 here.
Yeah.
By anyone, realistically. Like the super high eagle rate on number 9, I think it's like a 6% eagle rate. That means that not only the long hitters are making eagle on that hole. Quick picks. Unless there's anyone else you want to talk about.
No, not at all. Do you really not see yourself betting anyone who didn't play last week?
I don't, actually. No one. The only one that really leaped out to me was Woodland, weirdly enough, because he had been playing pretty well during the swing. Him and Harris English were the 2 that I was looking at.
I saw 60-1, I think, at DraftKings for Gary.
Yeah, and I think it's 60-1 for Harris English as well, isn't it? Or is he higher?
It's not Gary. He's just talking about feeling good and feeling real healthy for the first time in a while.
Yeah, those have dropped, by the way. It's Woodland 50 and Harris English 55. I still think that they're deeper in other places at the moment. Oh, Semikawa just dropped from 250 to 350 on DraftKings Sportsbook. There we go. Bet top 40 on that guy.
Someone else we didn't talk about, I'm not meaning to drag this on, and I don't see myself betting him, but I'm watching him closely. And if you're doing the show, were you doing the show with Ben this week?
No, Tambo and I do the show in studio every Wednesday now.
Oh, okay. You're right. I actually, as I was saying that, I think my head was saying, you're wrong, because that's great. Great plan. Tambo's the man. Okay. So because you're not going to be doing it with Ben, I'll mention Emiliano Grillo, who was incredible to end the season. The form was outstanding. It was so good, even chose to not play some things at the end. He's like, nah, it's kind of been good enough. It sucks I didn't win, but I'm playing good. I feel good. I want to bet Grillo so much, but I want to see it like ramp up again.
Yeah, he kind of lost it towards the end of the season. Like he went on a nice little run. He was making a ton of putts. He gained strokes on the green in 7 straight events. And then he hit the Shriners and barely made the cut. I remember because I bet him. He came like 73rd that week or something like that. Then he top 5 the next week. And then he had 2 like lousy performances to end the year. And that was the end of him. And he started losing strokes on the green again.
Yeah. So I think there could be another heater or a little wagon in there. And obviously his wagons don't even mean wins. But I'm watching it because if I see sign of life, I will get back on it and I'll represent Ben. But oh my God, I don't want to develop a Grillo betting problem because that sounds horrible.
Yeah, I mean,
there are hard drugs that actually sound less destructive than that.
If you start betting Grillo in consecutive weeks this early in the season, I have a number, 1-800-GAMBLER, that you need to call, and maybe we can find you a replacement on the show for a little bit.
No, he wasn't even hot. He was highlighted in the sense I want to talk about him, but he's in no way like going to survive a cut or 2 of determining who I'm going to bet. My quick picks, Corey Connors, Cam Davis. Those will be for sure bets. Corey Connors, Cam Davis.
Okay, Connors and Cam Davis. Harmon, I'm going to bet Harmon at 27 because I did that while we were talking because I didn't want to lose the number. I have to make a decision because I'm going to bet Poston at 75 or 80. I'll have to figure out if I want to each way or do the enhanced on that. And I'm going to bet Hughes at basically the same number, either 70, 75, or 80, whatever it turns out to be, and how I'm feeling when it comes down to it. So those 2 and Harmon. So 27, 75, and 75. Horschel, Connors would be my bets unless I do like Spieth or something like that, if that makes sense. Like I want to leave the option open of taking one of those top 4 guys or those 2.
Even like as someone who bet Connors, I'm starting to think the option of Spieth is better than Connors and Horschel.
Well, Horschel is double what Spieth is, or more than double what Spieth is, and Connors just isn't. So At least I feel like there's more value on Billy there. But I mean, who knows with Billy?
And is there any way in which you see yourself betting Tom Kim? Like getting there?
Well, here's the thing. If I've just bet Harmon at 27, I mean, I think I can make it feasible. Harmon at 27, Poston and Hughes at 80, and then Tom Kim at 12. Like, that actually does work out. But the bet needs to be big on Mr. Tom Kim. But I would still, like, I always try to make everything work to be between, like, 4 and 6x for the week, what I put in. But even like playing a smaller card last week, it was like 8 to 9x just because I didn't make that many plays. I could probably make that work out. Let's see. 12 to 1. Yeah. I could probably have like 5x if I played those 4. So that's something I'm going to give some consideration to.
All right. Oh, one and dones?
Yeah. First week of the one and done. So thank you, everyone, for filling up the giant. I always, next year when I stress out about it not filling, just let me know that it filled 7 days in advance this time. Like 2,000 people signed up in 2 days, and that was the end of it. Once we actually started doing golf shows again. So we can actually make it bigger for next year. We did $500,000 of guaranteed money this year. Maybe we'll shoot for like $650 next year. Really swing for the fences. We'll need everyone's help, so hopefully everyone enjoys their experience in the race for the Mayo Cup. So the big one is closed. The $1,000 is closed. Tambo and I are going to set one of my entries aside to make our actual picks on the Wednesday show for the one and done. So I have 4 teams. One of them will be like the show team with Tambo and I as we talk through our picks and try to do some more strategy there. Some more one and done talk coming on Wednesday's show. But for this show, it's going to be our first reaction, me versus Jeff versus Tim. Oh, and 2 things before I make the picks in case people are still watching. If anyone has hookups in Cabo for like, one of the top end hotels, you let me know. You got like some promo codes or discount codes or something like that? I mean, I don't want to shell out like $13,000 to go stay somewhere for 4 days, but like if it was $7,000, I would probably do it. Additionally, I just booked a place in Sonoma for just after the Masters. So if anyone's got an in at like Silverado, you let me know. Me and my buddy want to get on. We'll play around with you if you would be kind enough to take us out. Yes, Jeff, you raised your hand.
No, I was saying I love it because having done Disney, there is like a little orbit that you'd be. I mean, maybe there's more of Disney than Cabo, but yeah, there is an orbit, so you should use it. If I used it, you should use it.
Yeah, if anyone has ways to save me money or get me onto golf courses, you let me know. All right, you get a big shout out on the show.
And Sonoma, that's some beautiful stuff. Good times.
Yes, I am taking 2 weeks off following the Masters.
Well, as the PGA Tour should.
I'll be here for the heritage shows. We'll do the heritage shows, then I'm leaving. So I'm going to miss like the Zurich and Byron Nelson, and honestly, no one's going to care.
No, I think you'll be okay. Yeah, perfect. Zurich being one of them.
Yeah, it's actually Zurich in Mexico, I think.
And not that anyone should be too concerned, but I will say this here, Pat, because of my geographic location, I got partners for the one and done this year. So someone's not going to be bailing after the Masters, people.
FantasyGolfChampionships.com. There's still a $25 and a $50 open right now. They're smaller, but if you missed out on the big one and done or couldn't afford the $125, I probably should have announced the winners. I gave away the 4 free tickets, and I had to give them out a bit earlier because it was about to fill, so I had to go send it to them. You know who won. I sent you the fucking tickets. Where are they? Miles, Urgi, James, and Cody were the 4 winners of the free entry to the one and done. Anyway, my pick for the one and done this week, I'll take Brian Harmon.
Did you know there are no direct flights from Toronto to Jacksonville?
That doesn't surprise me. I always found it really difficult to fly Toronto to to Charleston. I really wanted to go to Charleston because my wife and I, big fans of the show Southern Charm, wanted to check out Charleston, maybe go to Kiowa Island, check that out for a little bit. But there was no direct flights. I had to connect to like Nashville or something.
Yeah, but it's probably quicker to connect in Philly or Atlanta to go to Jacksonville than fly to Orlando and drive. And then maybe play Sawgrass. Just telling you where my brain is at.
Well, I remember when we did before the DFS Open caused COVID and canceled the world.
Yeah, we did. We did do that.
It was the week before the world
Super
shut down.
spreader.
I had a flight that was going into Palm Beach direct, and like it got like delayed or something like that for like 4 hours. So I asked him, I was like, can you just throw me on this next flight to Miami or wherever? I think it was Miami. It was Miami or Orlando. It's Miami's close to it, right? I just took an Uber.
Yeah,
from
they're both pretty close.
Yeah, I took an Uber from the Miami airport to like me and Rick's Airbnb.
That's pretty good. I'll tell you, that Palm Beach airport, though, it is 5-star. It is 5-star.
It's really nice. I flew back out of it. I was shocked at how nice it was.
They got that direct from Toronto, but it's only in like high winter season. They know what's up. It's such a great little airport. They got like putting greens everywhere. I'm in heaven sometimes in that airport.
Because Tim and I went to the Minnesota airport for the Super Bowl, and I don't know if this is just the international terminal or it's just one big terminal, but because the Ryder Cup was there, their lounge has like golf simulators, and it's a PGA lounge basically. It's awesome. Yeah. Golf simulator.
So I guess everyone's just waiting on me. I'll get it out. I'll get it out of the way. I'll burn a gun here. Jordan Spieth. Let's go.
All right, so Harman for me, Spieth for you, Hollywood Hoagie for Tim Andacust for the one and dones. Week 1. Again, if you're the guy who ran it last year, reach out to me, please. Also, no more victory lapping on my Twitter timeline. I'm blocking you if you do it before I don't want to hear about any bet before it's over. I just don't want to hear about it. I can't handle it. And I was telling people, like, I just don't message me on Friday night about a winning bet. It hasn't won. And it didn't win. You know what I mean? It just makes it worse for my mental sanity. It just makes it worse. You know what it's like.
It's hard. It's
breaking news, by the way.
Uh-oh.
Cliff Kingsbury, you're fired, pal.
Was wondering what was going to happen there. That was that was an interesting domino. Not shocked. You just thought with maybe the Bidwells and owing a few extra years, they might just, and the quarterback being hurt, they might just sort of, I don't want to say just sink next year, but no, good.
Yeah, we'll talk about this.
You respect that.
Yeah, they'll hire Steve Wiltz, probably.
Yeah, your coach sucks. Like, who cares what the contract is? You get him out. Like, that should be the MO.
Well, we'll discuss this more on the Spread Pick show, which will come out on Tuesday evening. Brandon Staley quote for you. There's only 48 guys that you can choose from, and these aren't easy decisions. Hindsight is perfect for everybody on the outside, but these games are not easy to manage. They're not, because you don't have that many players. We did it to the best of our abilities, Jeff.
Listen, I like the resilience the team has shown this year, but I told you he's the monorail salesman. Like, what do you want me to do? I don't know. We'll have a talk about it tomorrow because this is a back thing and it's just a spasm, but spasms, they can be horrible. They could be great. I'm kind of worried about the cross-country flight for Mike. Maybe he'll have to do Russell Wilson running on the plane or something, keep loose, but we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it tomorrow, but all signs seem like everyone's survived. We'll see. Now I'm annoyed again.
Well, more on that on Tuesday's show with Jeff and Tim as we get into the football playoffs. Good time for content on the Pat Mayo Experience, and it's all going to dry up in about a month. Anyway, follow Jeff on Twitter at GFienberg17. Smash the like, sub to the channel, leave a rating and review, and play in the DraftKings Listeners League link down in the description right now. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time.
Mayo Experience! Experience!